appreciate the fact that you are managing or attempting to 90,000 employees. You have a budget almost $11 billion. And I appreciate that you're doing this with a workforce, since I've been in Congress, that has shrunk 25,000 employees. 10,000, I think, in the last 4 years. But the budget, if this Congress, in its wisdom, my Republican colleagues, are cutting your budget.
Congressman Earl Blumenauer, Democrat from Oregon, welcome to Give Me Five. This was Friday's session with the IRS commissioner, and this congressman is in total sympathy with the IRS commissioner. You run such a big agency, and we keep cutting your budget. How do you do it? You're great. More.
Some of this does sound condescending, I will say, or not allowing you to answer questions for a situation that Congress has made worse and has systematically assaulted the IRS in its capacity to function.
Congress has assaulted the IRS. Did they hold them hostage? Are they terrorists? Do they want ransom? I mean, that's usually, that was during the budget shutdown and the debt ceiling talks. It's all Congress's fault. And not all Congress, just the Republicans. Watch.
What did we do in the government shutdown? What business furloughs its accounts receivable department? Not one that stays in business very long. Not one that has the capacity to deal with layers and layers of complexity and a vast system where people pound away on the IRS and the people who work there. I'm amazed that anybody takes those jobs, from you on down, and I appreciate they do.
All right, so it was the government shutdown that led to Lois Lerner chucking her hard drive and the other employees missing their emails. It was the government shutdown, apparently, according to Congressman Blumenauer. All right, this is a rah-rah. This is, I guess, when the Democrats did their cross-examination or had their turn to speak at the hearing, it was just, let's heap praise on the IRS. More.
A certain irony that is now the dicta of the Republican Party to assault the IRS at every turn and undercut its ability to function. Gee, it was Republican presidents, starting with Lincoln and Taft and Roosevelt, that promoted the income tax, which doesn't collect itself.
Oh, we're getting a history lesson. Please don't get me started. You want to go into why Lincoln favored the income tax and promoted the income tax and started the income tax? We could go into it and give you that history lesson another time. But what does this have to do with the IRS or Lois Lerner and all these employees having their emails made unavailable? I don't know. More.
I hope before we get through this budget process, we take a hard look at what this critical agency needs to function, like training, like people on the job, not have budget cuts that we are told by the tax advocate a budget cut of $1 costs the federal government $7, and undercutting enforcement.
All right, and on and on and on. One more for good measure.
Well, I think that anytime the IRS is involved, for many people, it's a real scandal. And I think, though, that there are some challenges that rightly need to be made to what is being said, and I assume that the inquiry will continue. So I don't have the details, but I think what President Obama means there is there really wasn't a lot of, evidence that this was deliberate, but that's why the investigation needs to continue.
So when I said one more for good measure, you thought it was another Blumenauer cut, right? No, Hillary with Greta said anytime the IRS is involved, it's a scandal. And she was talking about Obama's claim that there's nothing there. And she said that's what the investigation's for, which is more than Blumenauer and the Democrats on the committee were willing to admit.